am Mirage, and welcome to The Legend of Mirage. Today I have a gag reel for you guys to show just how hard this was, and the reason why it took me so long to get started on the Score War. So, join me for that, and I will meet you there. Hey, I am Mirage, and welcome to The Legend of Mirage. In today's episode, we're going to have a two-parter in one episode. Basically what that means is, I'm not sure who told you this before, but I've been taught how to split clips in okay, that's an outtake. Hey, I am Mirage, and welcome back to a series that hasn't even started, genius. Hello, blah. Remember how you greet, idiot. Hey, I am Mirage, and welcome to The Legend of Mirage. Today, we have a two-parter in the same episode. If you don't know what that means, I'm not sure who between Zeta Beetle and Marty Jester taught you this, but I've been taught how to split an episode in half while doing the same project. So basically, I run the first half first, and then the second half. Hey, I am Mirage, and welcome to The Legend of Mirage. Today, we have a two-parter in the same episode. And if you don't know what that means, I don't know who told you between Marty Jester and Zeta Beetle, but you can split two projects and then combine them into one. And that's essentially what I've done here. So, I'll explain later. But for now, join me in the round. Hey, I am Mirage, and welcome to The Legend of Mirage. Today, we have a two-parter in the same episode. So, if you don't know what that means, I'm not sure who told you between Zeta Beetle and Marty Jester, but one of those two taught me how to split projects. So, essentially how that works is, That's it, I am force choking at Stormtrooper, this is pathetic. Hey, I am Mirage, and welcome to The Legend of Mirage. In this episode, I'm going to do a two-parter in one episode. So essentially what that means is, I don't know if anyone told you, but I have been taught by either Zeta Beetle or Marty Jester how to Great. Alright. I'm going to have the entire sequel trilogy, or actually the entire movie franchise of Outtakes by the time I get through with this episode. Maybe even more. I might even have the entire season of Star Wars The Clone Wars by the time I get through with this. Alright, so in this round, I'm going to be forgetting exactly which challenge that I actually did here. Well, that's the final outtake I needed to match the entire Star Wars movie franchise. A permanent solution for my lack of a lightsaber, seeing as how I was just snatched up in the unexpectedly, and I left without my lightsabers. So, essentially what ends up happening is they're replaced by these purple physical blades. Most of the time you're up against a blaster rifle. Okay, this is really getting annoying. I am stuttering way too much. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which I'm guessing is a bit like Lego studs, since I am from the LEGO Star Wars universe. But don't let that be the reason why you underestimate me, because being made of Legos did have its advantages, and I'm no less dangerous than if I were in the real Star Wars universe. So let me put this to you bluntly. One of those advantages seems to be the same as every single time that I died in this reality. The ability to respawn, be put back together. There are very few deaths in the LEGO Star Wars universe that are actually permanent. So, among the ones that are temporary are poison gas. I've had that happen to me before. A fall. You may lose some studs over it, but you can still come back. Getting shot by a blaster. Getting cut down by a lightsaber. Being force choked or electrocuted. Grammar. Do you have it? In this round, I'm going for the challenge to grab gold bars. So basically, this is currency, much like the LEGO Star Wars credits and LEGO studs. So, I would know a good deal about these, seeing as how I am a bounty hunter. So, I can basically relate to doing all of this and getting this money. So, I only managed to collect 40 out of the 500 that I need, and that just so happens to be for the best guard that I eventually make into my armor. So, and the reason why I'm doing the reason why I'm getting the best guard, okay, that's another outtake. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is kind of like the credits and LEGO studs of the LEGO Star Wars universe. Okay, too many spaces. Alright, in this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which I'm guessing is currency similar to credits and LEGO studs in the LEGO Star Wars universe, where I come from. And even though you guys seem to think that we're nothing more than toys, bear in mind, we still have exactly the same amount of powers as any normal Jedi or Sith. So we can still levitate you up in the air helpless, and we can still cast lightning from our fingers. Or at least we used to, up until we came into this universe. And then our force expertise, okay, whatever. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is kind of like currency, similar to the... Okay. Alright, in this round I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is similar to credits and LEGO studs in the LEGO Star Wars universe, where I come from. Now, I heard you guys... In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is very similar to the Star Wars universe's... Stop forgetting the words, genius. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is currency similar to credits and LEGO studs from the LEGO... At this point, I'd probably be better off shooting a droid. That's going to be something else in its own right, because, as I've said before, when whenever you're in the bounty hunting profession, you really need to prepare. And what better way to prepare than to get the strongest of anything and hope for the best? That is my advice to you whenever you get into the bounty hunting profession. Be prepared, get the strongest weapons and armor that you can find, and once you do that, you go to town on those loopers, and yeah. It looks like our bounty has been poached, so looks like we may be sharing our currency with somebody else. In this wow, I didn't even get past the first line. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially the same as credits and Lego studs from the Lego Star Wars universe, where I am from. Now I know what you guys are saying, we're nothing but tiny little toys to you. However, even with that, we are more powerful than you might think. We still have the powers of the Sith. So, with a gesture, I could hoist you high in the air helplessly, or I could electrocute you with a bolt of lightning from my fingers. Or at least that used to be the case before I got to this universe. Then I was stripped of all of my force powers aside from my enhanced senses. Well, shoot. I got as many outtakes as there are episodes of a season of Star Wars The Clone Wars because I froze up. This is going to be a rather smooth recording session, isn't it? In this, first line again. Are you kidding me? In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially the currency of this world, like the credits and character studs. No, that's a special ability within the Lego Star Wars universe, genius. I don't have a red brick all the time. In this... Stop making mistakes like this. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially this world's currency, like the credits and studs of the Lego Star Wars universe. Now I know what you might be saying. How could I pose it? Are you kidding me? In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially this world's currency, like the studs and credits of the Lego Star Wars universe. Now I know what you may be thinking. How could I possibly pose a threat being from a universe of tiny little toys? Well, if you really do think that, and I'm sure many of you do, then you would be making a pretty deadly mistake, because even if I am made of plastic and tinier than any of the rest of you, this world has made me about as large as you, which, if I still had my force powers, would make me an incredibly threatening presence to you. Like, if I had my powers fully restored right now, I would be able to hoist you high in the air helplessly, or, with a gesture, electrocute you with lightning. But as it stands right now, the only power that I actually have are my enhanced senses. And given all of the rest pretty well have that as well, it's not that great of an advantage, is it? Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, I'm going through this round, and trying to find some bars that I can get, which can be obtained by looking in chests, which I haven't really been doing because I have a pretty solid loadout of weapons that I've been collecting. Like, here's another thing that you might not know about me. Prior to becoming a Sith and later a Jedi, I was a Mandalorian, which means learning about weapons, especially blasters, is a very, very, very important job. Like, you would have to learn every weapon inside and out, and if you wanted to be successful, you learn them quickly. So, I learned how to tell how much damage one was doing. I learned how to tell which ones were actually worth picking up and the others just left over. Like, in terms of weapons, my loadout right now is halfway decent because even the weapon on the far left, which happens to be a sniper rifle of some sort, or I guess in my world it would be a long blaster. Anyway, way too many pauses, way too many pauses. Almost like a vibro sword or something like that. I cannot believe I mispronounced that. The only real thing that I can talk about here is walking around this arena like a chicken with its head cut off. Or, that's not going well. I now have as many outtakes as there are episodes of the Clone Wars, plus episodes of the entire movie franchise. This is so stupid. I had to learn every single blaster, from the long blaster, to repeating blaster rifles, to blaster pistols. I believe that I am about ready to go on to the next clip in a few minutes, or a few seconds rather. Like, in this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is basically this world's currency, like credits and studs are in the LEGO Star Wars universe. So you may be wondering how I am such a threat when I am basically from a universe filled with apparently little toy men. Well, if you did underestimate me for that reason, you would be making a dire mistake in my reality, because with a simple hand gesture, I would be able to levitate you off the ground as high as I wanted, and dangle you. Okay, whatever. Due to the fact that I have died to all of those in the past. In this round, really, the worst possible time to get choked. Are you kidding me? I will do anything to make sure that I make a stable living, and that includes bounty hunting like I used to back in my reality. So, here's another thing you should know about me. Even though my Sith abilities have been taken away, and many of my Jedi abilities as well, what hasn't been taken away are my training as a Mandalorian. Okay, grammar, blah. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is currency a lot like the studs and credits of the LEGO Star Wars universe where I'm from. And if you think that's a reason to underestimate me, simply because we're from a universe filled with tiny little toy men, I'm here to assure you that you're making a grave mistake. In my universe, if I wielded and had a certain hand gesture, I could pick you up and hoist you high in the air as high as I wanted and just dangle you there helplessly. Or I could electrocute you with lightning from my fingertips. Knowing all of that, do you still underestimate me? Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not the only thing you need to be scared of. Because even though I have lost my Sith and Jedi abilities that just went wrong. In all the wrong ways. In this episode, this whole thing is going to be one episode. Why am I saying episode? Gah! It won't be too much longer before I have 2 seasons worth of Star Wars The Clone Wars in Outtakes. Like, the weapon to the far right is a suppressed submachine gun, which features a lot like, features. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially currency like the studs and credits of the Star Wars universe. LEGO Star Wars universe, that is. So, you may underestimate me seeing as how many of you say that I come from a universe of tiny toy men. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's no reason to underestimate me, because as the former Sith Lord, I have access to force powers that many would consider terrifying. Like, for instance, I could hoist you as high in the air as I want to with a simple hand gesture. Or with the same, I could electrocute you with lightning from my fingertips. Knowing all of that, would you still underestimate me? Well, that's not the only thing you really have to be scared of. Because on top of the force powers that I used to have... Okay, you know what? That's a bad take. Alright, in this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially... I am so tired of freezing up. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is... Stop it! Stop it! In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially this world's currency, much like the studs and credits of the LEGO Star Wars universe where I come from. And you may be wondering how I possibly pose a threat coming from a world of supposedly tiny toy men. Well, if you did think that and underestimated me for that reason, you would be making a grave mistake. Since, in my universe, I could hoist you high in the air with a hand gesture and keep you there as long as I wanted, dangling helplessly, or I could electrocute you with lightning from my fingertips. Knowing all of that, do you really think that you can underestimate me still? Well, my force powers are now the least of your worries, seeing as how I no longer have my more powerful abilities. Now, I have to rely on my Mandalorian training, which I am not rusty in at all, because I had predicted at some point that I would not be able to use my more powerful abilities, and kept practicing with my blasters. And I am very thankful that I did, since now they are all I have to rely on, alongside these primitive blades that feed... I now have the outtake equivalent of all of the episodes of 2 whole seasons of Star Wars The Clone Wars. This is stupid. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is similar to the credits and studs of the LEGO Star Wars universe in that it functions a lot like currency. So, you may be wondering why I would be such a threat coming from a universe of supposedly tiny toy men. Well, if you underestimated me for that reason, you would be making a grave mistake. Because with a hand gesture, I would be able to hoist you high in the air with a... Okay, whatever. In this round, I'm going for the challenge to collect gold bars, which is essentially currency like the credits and LEGO studs of the LEGO Star Wars universe. So you may be wondering why I would be a threat coming from a universe of supposedly tiny toy men. Well, if that's the reason you underestimate me, I'm here to tell you that you're making a grave mistake. Because with a simple hand gesture, I could hoist you in as high in the air as I want to, and dangle you helplessly. Or, I could electrocute you with lightning from my fingertips. Choose your poison, and I guarantee you won't want to underestimate me anymore. Or at least, in my universe you wouldn't. Turns out, when you make a trip to this island, you get stripped of your more powerful force abilities, and are forced to use only your enhanced senses in order to get the job done. Which, paired with my Mandalorian training, which I've been practicing with, would also make me a very deadly opponent. Because instead of using the Force, I am now basically forced to use my blaster training, which I haven't been slack on. That weapon at the far left, in my universe, we call that a long blaster, which is essentially a sniper rifle. So, with that in mind, yeah. Okay, too many pauses. Too many pauses. Ah! Are you kidding me? So, that being said, we didn't really get a great haul from this particular task. Ever since Indiana Jones came by in the Star Wars universe. Okay, whatever. That weapon to the far left, that is a long blaster, which is essentially this world's equivalent of a sniper rifle. So, okay, I'm gonna correct myself on that one, because that was not right. Mostly, you would think that it would do either 1 or 2 hits to kill. But, okay, grammar. And that seems to be about it for part number 1. Join me again for part number 2, and I will meet you again next week. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, may the Force be with you.